I hope you're all hungry because in this Roll for Fruit review, we're taking a look at Berried Treasure, that's spelled with as in the fruit berry, from Restoration Games. In this game, you're all playing as fun little animals, raccoons, opossums, squirrels, trying to get the most of these delicious pies. Each round, you'll be trying to get a specific color of treasure, the pies, and whoever can get the most at the end is going to get victory points. After a few rounds, you're going to see who got the most points and got the most treasure.
On your turn, you will look at this lineup of beautiful different flavors of pies. I think there's some tarts and cakes in there as well. You can take one card that is revealed at the bottom of the line. So if it's covered up by another card, it's off limits to you. So on your turn, you would take one of these and add it to your collection. Boom. Now, there are some cards that have different effects. For example, some of them have grabby paws. That's right. You got to grab with those paws. If you take one of these, then you get to steal cards from another player up to the number of paws printed on that card. So if you were to take this on your turn, then you would choose one player and you get to steal 3 yellow cards from them. This one would let you steal 2 blue cards and so on. And then there are also the MOAR cards. If you take a MOAR card on your turn and there is another card available of the same color, you can also take that. So you could take this one or this one in this instance because there's 2 yellow options for you. So that's one way for you to try to get more than the normal one card that you were allotted. You keep playing going around this way until all these cards are wiped out, and at the end of the round, that card will tell you what each color is worth. You will get points for having the most of each color, first, second, or third place. But if you are tied with another player, then neither tied player will score anything, and instead, the next runner-up will get first place, and so on. And each round that you play, there's going to be 3 total. There will be a different scoring mechanism, so you're never going to be sure exactly which ones will be worth more points the next round.
That's the game. It's pretty basic on premise, but has a lot of interesting decisions. I'll quickly start off with the scoring. Like I said, there are 4 scoring cards, pretty much making each color the top scorer. But because you don't use one of them per game, you're not guaranteed to know that like the yellow tarts, the lemon tarts are going to come eventually being that big score. You have to sort of see what's going on and maybe make a gamble with what's happening. The other really clever thing is those ties. This particular is for the grabby paws. You don't always need to have the most. Sometimes I'm going to take from you, but you don't need to take the full 3. You could just take one because now they're tying the other player, therefore putting you in first.
Yeah, I think the tying is key to this game because otherwise it just becomes, I have more than you. It's pretty straightforward, kind of boring. But yes, the fact that there's that wrinkle of, I can't just match you, I want to beat you. Or maybe I do want to match you because I know you have more points. So even though I won't get anything, it also means you won't get anything.
By the way, at the end of each round 2, whoever has the least number of these points, we forgot to even show off these fun little tokens, gets to actually steal from another player as well, increasing and also changing their choices. Once again, it's not always about just making sure you have the most in it. You can be like, I'm now tying you now, so things are much more deadlier in terms of picking up the next set of cards.
Yeah, I think the other thing this game has that makes it a little bit more in-depth than you might expect on the surface, although it is pretty simple, is trying to figure out, well, what am I making available for the next player?
Yes.
It's not just what do I want right now, but if let's say the board was like this, maybe I really want a yellow card, but then I'm giving somebody 2 of these grays
right,
and the chance to steal. Or you might be thinking even more steps ahead that, oh, well, the next person's going to reveal that, which will reveal that, and they'll steal from me probably. So I should take from here because then they'll take that because then I'll take that. You can think a lot about it.
But it's not too complex that I think you need to be that one player who thinks 20 turns ahead. You can still do that. I think everyone has the chance to think a little bit ahead. That's what makes it nice, the simplicity of it. Mm-hmm. Of course, obviously, by the way, the theme I love, not just because I love raccoons, but John, if you want to tell the actual story, because remember, this is Restoration Games. That means this was a game beforehand, but it's got a very interesting little story.
Yeah, I think there were a couple different versions of this previously printed, but the most recent one had a pirate theme, and it was called Berried Treasure without a pun. And you were stealing, gold and stuff like that. So, of course, this one's got pies, and it's also in honor of Suzanne Sheldon, who works for Restoration Games, I'm calling her out by name because she technically goes first if she's playing this game, according to the rule
No matter
book.
what.
If she's playing, she gets first player, so that's worth something, worth noting. But yeah, it's a very, as you can see, casual, simple card game. I think another thing that I like about this game, people might be seeing these grabby paws and be perhaps rightfully concerned that there's a lot of take that, of stealing from people, and that's something usually hardcore gamers do not like. But I think in this instance, it happens so fast and so often, and you're frequently like maybe stealing back and forth from players. It didn't feel as bad to me.
Well, I'm one of those players who definitely gets a little annoyed if that happens. But two things. One, we didn't really clarify, but we should, then this helps it. You keep your cards per round. So you're sort of building up. So stealing, it's not like I'm never going to get a yellow stock. You're going to start getting yellows and be like, okay, he stole one. Two, going back again with those ties and stuff, it becomes less about, like, you're not always stealing 3. I'm not wiping you out. I might just steal 1. And then it feels less like you're just picking on me, more like, oh, you're doing that clever thing because I tie with that player now. It feels much more like, even though you're the victim, so to speak, it feels less of like a bullying.
The players can kind of balance the field themselves. And again, because of those scorecards, maybe someone steals all your yellow cards and that's pretty good this round, but maybe because they stole all those, you have all the blue cards now for next time. And depending on how the cards are dealt out, you'll be in a really strong position. So there are lots of things in place to balance it, which is, again, a very simple game, but there's all these little meta games that you can play in the middle of it.
Crits and misses for Berried Treasure.
Crits. It's a simple game, but the layered cards mean that you do have to think to some extent as to what you take and what it's going to leave for your opponent.
I enjoy the fact that this is simple enough for anyone to grasp it instead of only being maybe the top tier Euro players who can plan 5 turns in advance.
Each round, the point values are going to shift for different colors, which means you're never going to quite know what position a player is in, and there's always going to be a chance for you to make a comeback the next time you play.
In addition, with tying actually removing the both tied players from the scoring method, this makes it much more interesting than a simple, I have most pies.
There's a lot of take that action happening in this game. Players will be stealing cards back and forth, but that is mitigated to some extent, partially by the scoring mechanics that we mentioned earlier, and also a little bit predictable. You'll be able to see and plan for what players are going to do, so it doesn't feel quite as harsh.
Misses. Everything here is open information, so with certain groups, there may become a bit of analysis paralysis of someone making sure they know everyone's pick in order to make sure they have the optimal choice.
We loved that there's some depth here and some steps you can plan in advance, but some players may take it too far and try to plan 30 or 40 steps in advance, and that could drag the game down.
Because you can sort of see some steps in advance, the final picks for the round, each round, can be a little anticlimactic. You can sort of know, well, I'm not going to get that card or not be able to beat someone in a certain color.
To a certain extent, by the end of the round, the game sometimes does play itself a little bit, assuming everyone at the table is playing optimally. This is a quick, light, casual game. I think it falls pretty close to the party game definition, but it's sort of on the border. It depends on how you define an exact party game. It goes up to 5 players, but it has that light, fast feel that you can play again and again and again. And I think the key to enjoying this game is to not take it seriously. Like I said, if you get too deep in it and really try to like maximize the scoring and stuff, you could get bogged down a little bit in the numbers. But if you just are having fun with the colorful art and just taking and thinking and seeing what you can do, you'll find a really interesting game here.
I will argue that you can actually at least go a little bit that way. It has a lot of fun picks that I wasn't just like, okay, I'm just grabbing this because I want it. You know, there was like, oh, well, if I take this one, I'm giving that available to you. Actually, I'm going to take this one because now I am giving more to Jonathan, who's next, because right now I'm being rivaled by the other guy, so he's going to ruin his day and stuff. So I actually like that a lot. Once again, Restoration Games has always been one I've really enjoyed. Now, I have one question for you, Jonathan, and as we said, this is based on the previous joke of Berried Treasure, as in pirates and stuff. Would the theme have changed it for you if it was pirate?
I think I would like both. I like pirates. Okay. I would have been totally fine and on board, and I think it still would have been fun with pirates. But this is definitely a sillier and more interesting theme. Certainly it has a box art that you don't see everywhere. It's a theme that has, I would argue, unless someone can prove me wrong, has never been done before. So that's worth something.
Personally, I believe there should be more games involving raccoons and stuff, but of course, that's me. And the pies, though not technically miss, you may want to be careful because it may make you hungry.
Yeah, there's some well illustrated, beautiful pies here. They're messy though.
And desserts.
There's some real messy dessert going on here. Yeah, check this one out if you like this style of light game. I think it's pretty much a crowd pleaser. You know, we even had trouble really coming up with misses because, well, it's not a perfect game. It's one of those games that's so simple, it kind of just accomplishes exactly what it's trying to do.
You can let us know if you've had the chance to play this or if you're looking forward to in the comments down below.
Yep, talk to us down there. It's Berried Treasure. If you want to find out more, search it for yourself online. My name is Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this was Roll for Crit. Thanks for watching. Why not like the video and subscribe to our channel? Maybe even ring that bell for us. We're also on Patreon. If you want to go over there, you can support us for just a few dollars a month and get some cool rewards in exchange for that. And we have a merch store. If you're looking for a way to show off your Roll for Crit love on t-shirts, we've got new designs coming out every so often. You don't want to miss any of those. So check out all those links in the description down below.